Hello everyone, this recording is on keyword list tool and it refers to the 10th tutorial by Laurence Anthony, so I assume you've watched it. And let me begin by talking a bit more about the notion of keyness, because the results of the keyword analysis in AntCon give you the value of keyness. So let me go with you through some examples to actually better understand the notion, and then we will actually calculate or obtain keyword lists for our corpus using two different techniques. So first of all, I want you to find the frequency of the word see and the word or in our Joseph Conrad's corpus. So load the corpus and find the frequency of these two words. So please do it now. Okay, now let me do it myself. I will load the corpus, obviously. Okay, you can do it in at least two different ways. So you can generate word list and find these words inside word list, but I'm going to use the simple concordance tool. So I'll write C, and this is 415. And before I proceed, let me actually open a spreadsheet, and let me do it like this. So I'll call the corpus Joseph Conrad's corpus. Okay, and I will write here count, and I'll write here %, and here I'll write the word C. Okay, so the count for the word C is 415, and for the word all, the count would be, okay, let me find it, all. Okay, it's 1326, like this. Okay, and the next thing I want you to do is to calculate the proportional frequency of occurrence of these words in the corpus. So in other words, calculate the percent for these words out of the whole corpus. So please do it now. Okay, now in order to calculate the percent, what we need to know first is the size of the corpus. So maybe somewhere below, I'll copy this. I'll write size. Okay, and in order to find the size, you can go to word list tool and just create the word list, as this will give you the word tokens count. Okay, that's 630,000. 630. Okay, 630. 329. Okay, so that's 630,329 word tokens. Okay, and now to calculate the percent, we need to divide our count by the corpus size. So I'm going to create my own formula. So this one divided, so /, we can actually do it like this, or I think a better practice is to copy this and paste it manually, because then we can do the same by just dragging it. If we mark this cell instead of writing this number directly, okay, listen, I'm recording this part for like the 5th time, because each time I wanted to show you where the problem here is. I have to at some point press escape, and each time I press escape the recording stops, because that's the default setting for the program I'm using for recording. Whenever you press escape, the recording stops. So I'm not going to change any cells here, I'm just going to explain what the problem is. Now it's a good practice to write the size of the corpus inside the input line here, rather than mark the cell in which you potentially wrote the number itself. Because if I copy this formula, b4 divided by this number, to here, by dragging it down, then the formula nicely changes b4 to b5, but this value stays the same. Okay, it's the same. But if I were to, instead of writing this number directly, if I were to mark this cell, then the b4 would change to b5, but also this cell would change to this cell, and the result would be error, because that's 0. Okay, you cannot divide by 0, so you'd have an error here. This is like a repetition from our statistics course. I believe I told you that, but whenever you count percentages, avoid marking the size of the corpus from a given cell. Just write it directly in the input line. Okay, so we can obviously change this into like nicely looking percentages like this, at least for as the final stage. Now I want you to download the basic TXT version of Brown corpus from this site. Well, before I created this podcast for you, I was actually looking for a simplified version of Brown corpus, and if you write Brown corpus like this, or download, you'll be directed to various pages where you could try, but the one I found most useful is if you write Brown corpus TXT. And this is like a university somewhere in Hawaii, I guess, but if you click this link, there is this Brown .txt corpus is one file, no tags, no line number. This is very nice for our corpuses, so download this one, okay? And the task that is for you to perform next is to find the frequency of the words C and O in this Brown corpus, and again calculate the proportional frequency of occurrence. Please do it now. Okay, I assume you've done it, so let me do it myself. Now I will remove our corpus from here, so close all files, and I'll open this Brown corpus file. Okay, we may see that it's we may see that it's correctly open. That's fine. And now let's find the word C. The word C was found 108 times. So I'll write here Brown corpus, and I'll copy this. Obviously you can arrange it in any way that you find comfortable. This is how I would do it. So 108 occurrences, and then the word all. Okay, here we have it. So the word or appears over 4,000 times. So let me write the count here, 4227, right? Okay. And now to count the percent, we need to obtain the size of the corpus. So again, we can go to word list tool and press start. And the size is slightly larger than 1 million. I told you that Brown corpus contains 1 million word tokens, and this is true, but there are also the headings for different sections in this TXT version of the corpus. So so because of that, the count is slightly larger. So because we're using all of this text in the file, in these files, let's take this as the size of the corpus itself, because we are also analyzing names of headings and headings and stuff like that. Okay, so 102, 4374, 4374. Okay, so now copy this and count the percent by creating my own function. This one divided by the size of the corpus, and now I can drag it down. If there were more words that we would analyze, then this dragging down would be quite useful. And then you can change this into the percentages here. And now what we can see here, there are several things I'd like to draw your attention at. Namely, the word C in Joseph Conrad's corpus is 415, and as you see, it is more frequent than in the Brown corpus, and it's more or less 4 times more frequent. But when you look at the percentages here, it's not 4 times, it's actually 7 times more frequent. Why? Because Joseph Conrad's corpus is smaller than Brown corpus. You cannot compare this result directly to this one. It has to be normalized, as we call it in statistics. So in this case, transform it into percentages. And now these values are comparable directly because they are normalized, because they express the value in reference to the size of the corpus. And in the case of the word or, this again is not directly comparable to this one, but when you compare the percentages, yes, you can compare these directly. So you can see that in the Brown corpus the word or is more frequent than in Joseph Conrad. And the second thing I'd like to draw your attention at is the very idea of keyness, because what we can see here is that the word or is basically more frequent than the word C in Joseph Conrad's corpus itself. The word C happens to appear only 415 times. That constitutes 0.07% of all the vocabulary in the entire corpus. This one is more frequent, and automatically in percentage terms the value is also higher. But when you compare it, these two words, to the way that they are distributed in Brown corpus, which could be treated as a neutral corpus of the English language, which could be the reference corpus, then you would see that actually the word C is more frequent in Joseph Conrad's corpus than in the Brown corpus, and the difference is huge. And you can see that actually the word or is less frequent in Joseph Conrad's corpus than in Brown corpus. So relatively speaking, if you compare these values, you can say that C is somehow more important word than in Joseph Conrad's corpus than you would expect on average in a comparison corpus such as Brown corpus, and the word or is actually less frequently used than you would normally expect in a text, even though in direct terms it's more frequent than the word C. But it's still less frequent than what you would expect if you compare it to a reference corpus. In a reference corpus, its frequencies should be higher than it is. Okay, and in here the word C is much more frequent than you would normally expect in an average text, in inverted commas, obviously. Okay, so this is what the keyness, the idea of keyness refers to, is how likely is the word to appear in the text if you compare it to a reference corpus. Okay, so if Brown corpus represents the average English language, then the word C in Joseph Conrad's corpus is somehow used more frequently than expected. And the word or, on the other hand, is less frequently used than expected, even though it could still be quite frequent, because this is in general a very frequent word in English. But it's still less frequent than on average in Joseph Conrad's corpus, because Brown corpus shows that it should be more frequent. Okay, so this is what the idea of keyness refers to. Okay. And now let's have some exercises on creation of the actual creation of keyword list. This was well explained by Laurence Anthony, so I guess there's not much for me to add. So just create a keyword list for our Joseph Conrad's corpus using Brown corpus as the reference corpus. Okay, please do it now. Okay, I assume you've done it, so let me do it myself first. Let me load our corpus, I mean Joseph Conrad's corpus. Okay, and then I need to go to Tool Preferences, Keyword List, and we need to load the Brown corpus. Okay, and press Load. By the way, there are numerous ways in which keyword analysis can be conducted. There are numerous algorithms used. If you're interested, you can write these names together with the name keyword analysis, and you will find somewhere on the internet exact way that these algorithms work. But for the purposes of our course, just use the default values, okay? And this actually has been developed since Laurence Anthony recorded his tutorial, okay? There are more options here. But let's use the default ones. The only one which is useful is show negative keywords. So let's mark this one, that this one is useful. Apply, and let's go to keyword list and press start. Obviously this message tells you that it needs to create word list first, but let's not worry about this. Okay, here we are. When we look at the keyword lists here, which is sorted according to keyness itself, we see that Joseph Conrad uses lots of expressions referring to men more frequently than expected or on average in English. So he, his, him. That suggests that his novels are mostly about men rather than women. And also, again, the expressions referring to man, okay, himself. Words connected with the sea are more frequent. So ship is frequent. If you went down, sea would be somewhere. Sea is very high, and so on. So this is what we talked about. He likes the sea topic to discuss in his novels. Okay, the next thing, I want you to download, because now I want to create this keyword list using word frequency list instead of the file of the reference file, in which case we use the brown txt. Okay, now let's use a list itself. There was a way to save lists on the basis of the file that you had, like, so we could create this word list tool for brown corpus and then save it and then use it instead, but that's a bit, I guess, too much. I mean, doesn't make much sense to me. But there are some word frequency lists available at Antcong's web page. So let's go there. I'll write here Antcong, and that's the page. And if you scroll down, there are these resources available, and we have these word frequency lists. And let's download British National Corpus BNC frequency list. So click this. This will download a zip file. Unzip it, okay? And once it's ready, let me find it. Okay, let's use the written version, BNC written word list. Okay, so I want you to create keyword list for our Joseph Conrad's corpus using BNC written word list.txt. Please do it now. Okay, I assume you've done it, so let me do it myself. I'll go to Tool Preferences. I'll use this option, Use Word Lists. I'm actually, clear list just in case. Use word list and now add files. And I'll go here and choose the written version. Okay, and press load. Okay, and then apply. And now let's skip to keyword list again and press start. Okay, and here we have it. And again, the expressions referring to male characters are frequent. So his, him, man, and so on show that his novels are mostly about men. And probably if you were looking for some expressions connected with the sea, you would find some of them. Okay, thank you. That's all for today. Have a nice evening. Bye bye.